see what it's like with this off. Wow. A little too weird, huh? All right, we'll keep it on here and just see if we can turn it away from me. Not too good at this broadcasting, as you can see. Yeah, I'm still moving in. Excuse the mess behind me. Anyway, thanks for joining, folks. This is the part 2 in a series where on Patrick's Interesting Life, we're going to talk about my DoorDash career. If you haven't watched part 1 yet, you really should, so you'll understand where we're at. In there, I explained the TLDR, too long don't read on it, is that started off as an independent contractor dasher in 2014 and stayed an independent contractor for about a little over 2 years before I was finally hired as an employee at DoorDash. So let's talk about that. All right. So basically, there was this person, Michael, who very indebted to him. He saw something in me, apparently. He made me one of the very first Dash Team Builder supervisors, where I was actually managing all the Northern California activation offices. That was where new Dashers would come, get the orientations, get their, whatever they needed to get started. We'd set them up for success, get them activated in the system on the platform so they could go out and start earning an income. And so I was managing, I think in the beginning, it was 5 Northern California offices, and that kept expanding and expanding. So anyway, Michael was my mentor and also my direct manager when I was first hired. And I remember I was really intimidated when they first brought me to headquarters because, as I mentioned in the last episode, I'm a high school dropout, technically. Don't confuse that with being stupid. I'm not stupid. Matter of fact, in the 6th grade, they tested my IQ and put me in a mentally gifted minors MGM program. Semi IQ was above 130. Yeah, I don't know. Tests vary on that. I don't know if it's that good, but anyway, I'm not a stupid person. I'm just an uneducated person. But anyhow, DoorDash as a startup, and keep in mind back then it was absolutely a startup. They looked for people that were very proactive, very good at multitasking. I became part of strategy and operations, S&O. And I'll tell you what, those were the wild days. So I was reporting to Michael, who was associate general manager at the time, soon to become general manager of DoorDash. And when I started reporting to the headquarters in San Francisco, this is 3 or 4 headquarters ago. So it was, a real old building down there on Montgomery Street in San Francisco. I mean, an old building, But it was a nice place. They had the catered lunches every day, which I'll tell you what, I know why corporations do that. It's very smart. They'd rather have you stay there and eat, even if they're paying for it, than have you go out and get your own food, right? Because pretty much we're all on salary there. And if you got to go get your own food, who knows how long it's going to take. You might sit in the restaurant for a while and stuff, which is all fine. You're allowed to do that, and some people would do it from time to time. But just saying that it was really good that they had good food. It was catered every day, the lunches, and I appreciated it. It was nice to eat for free every day. And anyway, so when I first started there, he had me, he taught me so much. He really did. He was such a nice person. He knew my limitations. And apparently he also saw in me something that could be cultivated and could be nurtured. And he was really good at that. It's funny. He was one of those people that everybody had a different experience with him. I loved reporting to him. And even after I stopped reporting to him, when I started reporting to one of his direct reports. So I reported to my boss, who reported to him. So I just really liked everything about him. He was incredibly smart, super passionate about our work. we almost had a contest who could get there earlier in the morning, because it didn't matter if I got there at 7 in the morning, he was already there or was coming in a minute later. But I'll tell you what, pretty much every night he's staying there till 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And if I came in on the weekends, he was usually there. So what did Michael teach me? Taught me a lot of good things. One of them was, and Michael, if you ever watch this, I'm sorry that I don't follow it anymore, because I should. He's one of those people, he never deletes an email. I don't care if it's spam. He's got all those little categories and folders and everything, and sends everything off to wherever it should go, you know. But anyway, one of the great things he taught me about was efficiency. And he said, Patrick, never open an email that you may need to respond to unless you're ready to respond to it right now. So here's the concept behind that, and it makes a lot of sense. If I open an email and I read that email and I'm like, oh, man, I need to respond to this, right? But I got these other things I'm doing. I'm busy. I'll get back to it later. Okay. So when I come back to it later, I'm going to have to read that email again, because I need to know, I need to formulate my response and make sure it's congruent and stays on point with what the email is about, right? So that means I need to open the email and read it again. Doesn't sound like much, but when you're answering, 20, 30, 40 emails a day, if you're wasting 5 minutes on each one, man, there's like a couple hours of your day just wasted, right? Because you're double reading them. So his email inbox was always clear. I remember one day I finally showed him mine, because he was frustrated when he saw I had like 250, 300 in there, and he's like, what are you doing, man? So I remember showing him, had it down to 0, and he was all happy and proud. But anyway, here's another thing he taught me was how to speak up in meetings, how to value myself. Because I always had a really bad inferiority complex when I went there. I'm surrounded by, again, not just college graduates, but people with like degrees from Berkeley, degrees from Harvard, a lot of big name schools. And I got to say, man, not a single one of them ever looked down on me or condescended to me. I was always treated as their equals. And that meant a lot to me. I really appreciated everybody I worked with. So we were very results driven there, which is how you need to be at a startup. So anyways, when I first started, like I said, I was really intimidated, and Michael would bring me along to him with some pretty high level meetings. And I'd always be that little mouse. I don't see nothing. I'm here to watch. I'm here to observe. And I remember one time, and this is how Michael, the relationship we had and how he talked to you, or at least to me. Very blunt, very straightforward. You always knew what he was trying to say. He didn't beat around the bush. So after one of these meetings, he said, Patrick, I know you've got things you want to say during these meetings. I think you can contribute. Why aren't you? And, I'm like, I said, well, I don't know. I don't want to look stupid. So he looked at me and he said, do you think I'm a stupid person? I said, oh my God, no. You're like one of the smartest people I know. He said, okay. Do you think I have bad judgment? Hell no. I think you got great judgment. I have a lot of respect for you. He said, great. Do you know it was my decision to hire you? I said, yeah. He said, do you see where I'm going with this? So that was a beautiful thing. It was his way of telling me that he had complete faith in me and that he saw something in me, and that's why he hired me. And that's why I was there. And then I had value, and I could bring value, and my voice had value, right? So, I learned from that, and I started learning how to speak up at the meetings. And it was really cool when, I'm in there with engineers and other managers and other departments. And again, I was always known as the voice of the Dasher because, number one, I'd been in Dasher myself for thousands of deliveries. And I had was moderating the Facebook groups, dealing with Dashers every day, and plus in the offices, I was, my people were dealing with Dashers every day, and I visited the offices a lot. So anyway, um, it really helped me in my career that I was able to start off with an excellent mentor like Michael that would just, he could see where my weaknesses were, and he would just remove my fears. He was so good at that. I remember another time where when I first started working up there in strategy and operations. So now you got to understand, before that, I was the NorCal supervisor, where I was managing the activation offices called the DTB offices. I had promoted someone else into that position and was now an associate at headquarters, which pretty wide label. You never knew what you were going to be working on, right? So, anyways, it was so much excitement because it was nonstop. So anyway, here's another thing Michael did for me was two things here I'm going to talk about. Number one is he said, I think it would really, he never told you what to do. He would advise you. He would guide you. He said, I think it would really benefit you to learn about the other departments at DoorDash and what they do here. So he said, whenever you have some time, just walk around, talk to people, introduce yourself. Now, I don't know how much y'all know about the corporate life. And again, this is my first foray into it for myself personally. But I do know that at most corporations, there's a lot of interdepartmental conflict and jealousy and competition, and departments don't really get along that well, Oh my goodness, that is so non-existent at DoorDash like that. I could walk into engineering, I could walk into brand, I could walk into product, I could walk into design. Hey, I'm Patrick. I'm with SNO, and I just wanted to see what you guys are working on. If you're not too bad. Oh my God. Can't wait to show you what we're doing for the Dash app. I want to get your opinion anyway, Patrick. Have a seat. Have a seat. Let me show you what I'm working on. They'd pull up these things. They'd explain everything they're doing. They'd talk to me about what we were doing to make things better for Dashers, to make things more efficient overall. It was really cool. There was not a single department that would shun you or tell you to go away. They were very, very welcoming. Everyone at DoorDash I've ever met was just really good people. They always made you feel very welcome. They were there to help you. They were there to do whatever they could to help you. And of course, the expectation was that you would do whatever you could to help them. So to this day, it remains that way. It's a very symbiotic relationship between all the departments within DoorDash, even though now it's grown to, 100 something different departments, right? It's one of the things that really, really started cementing my bond with DoorDash the corporation. So at this point, Michael had told me at one point, hey, I'm going to have you work a little bit on merchant. I'm going to have you work a little bit on consumer. I'm going to have you work a little bit on Dasher. All right. So I was doing various tasks and stuff for all these different, those are the three customers for DoorDash. Now remember, DoorDash is a technology company that has designed this algorithm and has this platform that unites local merchants with local drivers, with local consumers, unites the three of them together to conduct their business. So anyway, all three of them are considered DoorDash's customers, the Dasher, the consumer, and the merchant. And they're all three equally important and vitally important. So I worked for, a couple weeks on each one of them, and Michael took me aside and he said, so what do you think? And I said, well, I'm going to be honest with you, Michael. He said, I understand that all three of our customers are equally important. I just don't give a damn about consumer merchant. It's not my passion. My passion, my heart is with the Dasher. I love the Dashers. I was a Dasher. I know a lot of Dashers. My passion is the Dasher. And he said, okay, you will never work anything except Dasher, and here's why. And this is the genius of DoorDash, because he's not the only one that thinks like this. He said, if I put you on merchant or consumer, you're a good person. You're a good worker. You're going to give me 100%. But if I put you on something you're passionate about, something you enjoy, you're going to give me 200%. So he said, you're going to be on Dasher. And that made so much sense to me. And it was so nice because you know what? I have to say, I'm sure all of you out there, depending on how long you've been in the workforce, have experienced jobs that you started to not like too much. Sometimes jobs you started to really hate. I've been there, folks. I've been there where I used to dread the painting job so much that I was at one point that it was just so stressful and so many headaches. And it was just, I don't know. For me personally, it wasn't rewarding. I never felt confident in that industry. And even as I was like running some jobs and stuff, I never felt like confident, like I knew what the hell I was doing. And there was always huge problems. And so I would actually start stressing. Friday night, you're like, yes, I got the weekend, right? Well, about 11:30 midnight on Friday, I'm already stressing on Monday, like, oh shit, Friday's almost over. Then Saturday, that's going to go quick. And then Sunday, and then I'm back to work Monday. There's nothing worse than waking up every day really dreading where you're going to work, right? So it's one thing I loved about DoorDash was I really, really enjoyed the work I did. I love the people I worked with. I look forward to going to work, and I look forward to being productive, and I look forward to having an impact. I got to work with some really, really great people on so many different projects because, again, we were just really such a startup still that we were experimenting constantly and trying different things. Excuse me. Thank you, Philip Morris. So one thing I want to be very clear about, folks, I will never divulge any information in here that is not already public information. I will never talk about private, confidential DoorDash information because this is not right. That's part of my debt to the company, even as an ex-employee, is to protect their privacy. That being said, so a lot of things we worked on were just supply issues. Supply meant dashers. How many dashers need to be in this city at this time? Whoo, that is not easy. It is not easy, man. It's a very, very difficult thing to do. And at one point, because we were expanding and growing so quickly, there were times we didn't have enough dashers on the road, and we would actually have to shut down cities. It's called killing the starting point, right? Where you just have to tell customers when they're trying to consumers that, hey, I'm sorry, we can't take your order at this time. Check back in a little while. And that's, of course, the very last thing you ever want to do, right? Because, they're still hungry. They're going to order from someone else. They may not come back. Again, this is all, public information and common sense. I mean, obviously there were times we had to like close different cities. And I know all the other platforms have gone through this. So anyway, yeah, I remember we called it the Great Supply Crisis of 2016 in NorCal, because we had so many restaurants and so many consumers, and we were just constantly trying to get more dashers. And it was really tough because, when you had them, now keep in mind, dashers are independent contractors. They are their own boss. You cannot tell them when to go dashing, where to go dashing, or how long to dash. You can't even tell them they have to take any opportunity we give them. That's what we call an order that we send them on the platform. It's a delivery opportunity they can either accept or decline. So anyways, yeah, it was pretty crazy there. When you came in the morning, if the market had experienced some ugliness the night before, we were called to task on it. At one point, we had a regional general manager, this wonderful lady named Brooke. And every morning we had a daily stand-up in the morning where we went over yesterday's numbers. This is how many dashers are on the road. This is how many orders, et cetera, et cetera. This is how many orders we couldn't fulfill, like everything, right? And they would turn to us like, what are you doing to fix this? And they wanted answers. They wanted solutions. And That may sound brutal, but it's really not. I mean, that's our job. And we took it very serious. But the beautiful thing was there were really no limits, no restrictions on what you could do to solve it. And what I mean by that is obviously it had to be a good idea. It had to be an idea that made sense, a reasonable idea. But we were willing to try so many different things and so many different experiments and so much things that that back then we called it the Wild West days, because everything was just rubber stamp approved, like, hell yeah, that might work, go ahead and try it. Hell yeah, that might work too, go ahead and try that. So we that was strategy and operations. It was a wild ride, folks, because every day there's new fires to put out every single day. And here's another thing Michael taught me is he said, look, if you're working on a fire and you get stuck, leave it, go to the next one. Because, and again, I loved the way he thought. He said, there's plenty of fires out there. They're all equally important. They all need to be put out. Don't spin your wheels. Don't waste your time. If you get stuck on one, leave it. Move on to the next one. Solve it. Move on to the next one. Solve it. Move on to the next one. Solve it. Someone else will pick up the slack. Because again, we all have our own creativity, our own ideas, our own ways of looking at problem solving and solving them. So what I may not be able to solve doesn't mean it's unsolvable. It just means personally I wasn't seeing the answer. Someone else is going to see it. It was a beautiful time in my life because I was learning so much. Again, I never worked in a corporate atmosphere, let alone crazy ass startup that doesn't have any brake pedals that just go, 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 go. And I'm telling you, folks, I was surrounded by the most awesome people. That was 5 years ago. And many of them, some of them have gone their separate ways from DoorDash, but many of them we still stay in touch. We're still friends and made a lot of really good relationships. And everybody was so supportive of everybody else. And everybody was so supportive of me. Obviously, it was pretty glaringly apparent that I did not come from a corporate background. I did not come from a college education. And, I was really inexperienced in even things like Google Sheets and formulas and stuff like that. I wasn't sure what I brought to the table, but they were. What I brought to the table was I found out, I didn't notice before that, but I found out I have a really good problem solving mind. I'm good at critical thinking. I'm good at creativity. And once I've got my confidence, once they put that confidence in me, I'm good at presenting. I'm good at collaborating. I'm good at getting what we need from other departments. So anyways, yeah, we had a great time. Eventually, I started reporting to this lady named Prithvi. And me and the Prithers, we're still really good friends, man. I love her. She is such a very dear person. So when I started reporting to Prithvi, oh my God, there were times when we would meet at a coffee shop on the weekends, and go over stuff because there was so much to do and I was learning so much. And I remember one time Prithvi had told me, she said, Patrick, one of the things I want you to work on is you got to stop saying yes to everybody all the time. She said, here's what I mean. Nobody knows how much is on anybody else's plate. All we know is that we've all got too much on our own plate. So she said, I see throughout the day people coming over and saying, hey, Patrick, could you do this? Hey, Patrick, could you give me that? Hey, Patrick, blah, blah, blah. And she said, you always say yes. And she said, you need to learn how to say no. There's nothing wrong with it. You need to learn how to say, hey, I'm sorry, I don't have the bandwidth at this time. I'll let you know if I do. But sorry, I don't have the bandwidth to spare on this right now. And the very next day, I was down in one of the local offices. I was out in the field. And Prithvi calls me and she says, hey, Patrick, I need to stop by this one restaurant. We're gonna get them activated. I had done a lot with the merchant tablets. I knew how to get them activated, get them set up, and do a test order, all that good stuff. So the tablets are how they receive their orders through the DoorDash platform, and knew what food to make and who has ordered it and blah blah blah. So anyway, she says, I I've got to go by this one restaurant and I want to bring them a tablet and get them set up. Can you go with me and help me do all this? And I said, I just don't have the bandwidth at this time. And she gets kind of quiet. She says, Patrick, when I gave you that speech, it didn't include me. Which, I mean, I was just messing with her anyway. She was my boss, and of course I'm going to do whatever she needs, and happy to do it, But yeah, that was a funny thing, man. Honestly, when you are in very high pressure situations, high stress situations, it is a bonding experience that creates really deep bonds between you and those you collaborate with, between you and those other people that are like in the trenches with you, I'm not going to say it's like going to battle together, because I don't want to, take away from true soldiers and battles and all that. That's a whole different area. But in the corporate world of battles, yeah, it's really amazing how deep the bonds are that you get with people that you're working with like this. So anyways, yeah, I worked on a lot of things. And at one point too, I was asked, whenever you got hired as an employee at DoorDash, you would go through DoorDash orientation, which, a lot of corporations do that, right? It's a full day of meeting people from all the different departments, and they describe what they do, et cetera, et cetera. And one of the things that was always cool about DoorDash, and this went on up until the pandemic, is as an employee, you are required to WeDash every month. What that means is, and this is true, I mean, the CEO, Tony Shu, I would see him coming in once a month with his red DoorDash shirt on, and he got a little hot bag. Everyone had to go out once a month and dash. The money all went to charity. And it was really cool. The concept was multiple, because number one, that way you never forgot what dashers really went through, right? Because you had to go out and do it yourself. And, we weren't cherry picking orders. We just took whatever came on the phone. So, yeah, you have some pretty ugly ones, and you had to do them because they wanted us to experience what dashers experienced, so we could come up with ways to make it better, to enhance it and make it a better experience for dashers as well as consumers and merchants. Also, it was great because we could experience firsthand if there's any glitches in the app or any improvements that need to be made. Engineers had to go out to, design had to go out to. So anyway, for the new hires, I was asked if I could go in and talk about the dashing portion, and talk to them about the Dash team builders, what we did in the local offices, and just about dashing in general, and about dashers and how they think. Again, Patrick Dasher, I was the voice of the Dasher. So because of this, and I'm telling you, every new hire went through there. So because of this, I was able to meet a lot of people that were being hired that eventually became part of what's called the M team, vice presidents and senior directors and all that kind of stuff. Well, guess what? Believe it or not, I love being on stage. I love the spotlight. Yeah, once I came out of my little mousiness, man, there was no holding me back. I have a very unique way of doing presentations. I love to get people involved in it. That's why I wish I had some chat going on here and some people watching live so we could talk, But yeah, I really, really enjoy public speaking. Love it. I know most people fear it. I love it. So because of this, I got to meet so many people in other departments as they got hired on. Apparently I was made an impression, because they would remember me and come back to me later or Slack me later and ask me questions, or, hey, I've got a dasher. What do I tell him? Tell her about this, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, yeah, it really helped me build up over the years this huge network of people, as well as I was collaborating with a lot of people that eventually kept getting promoted up and up and up and up. So I was in a very fortunate position after towards the end of my fifth year there, where, put it this way, when they came out with the sheet on big promotions, people going into directorship, senior directors and stuff, and vice presidencies, I always had to send out a whole lot of personal congratulations because I knew some of these people. And it was really cool. It was very helpful to me that whenever I really, really needed to, if something wasn't going at the pace I needed to go, I had contacts. I'll talk more in the next episode about what I learned about how to get help from people and how you treat them as they give you the help. That it's not a secret, but it's amazing how people don't do this. But there's a way to do this that makes them feel almost indebted to you, even though they helped you, where they can't wait to help you again. And again, folks, it's just really common sense and common decency in my book, but a lot of people don't seem to utilize it. But anyway, also, I'm going to start off the next episode talking about when we did a reorganization of seating at HQ. And guess what? My new seat, and I've only been there about probably 6 months or less at headquarters. I sat right here. Michael, the general manager of DoorDash, sat right here. Directly behind me was the CEO, the chief operations officer, and the head legal counsel. So, yeah, I was in the power seat. I was in the middle of all the power, And I'll give you this teaser alert on the next episode when I talk about these people. It's incredible, amazing to me how nice they are, how humble they are, how kind they are. Jeez. To this day, they all remember me. They will stop and talk with me. Hey, Patrick, how you been? How you doing? I mean, DoorDash has what? Thousands of employees now? And yet these people at the very top, they still, to this day, they care about every employee. They care about our experience, and they care about us as people. So I'm going to talk some more about that in part 3. For now, time for me to go feed my nicotine monkey. And I hope you folks are enjoying this. I enjoy talking about it, so I'm going to keep doing it. I'll probably broadcast again tomorrow on this. So tune back for part 3, but please watch part 1. And hey, never going to ask you to smash anything on your computer, man. But please do gently click the like and click the follow button, the subscribe button, whatever the hell it is here on YouTube. I also do have a YouTube channel called Patrick Plays Poker Badly. I'm actually going to Las Vegas next week to play in the main event World Series of Poker. A lifelong dream for any poker player, right? So I'll be broadcasting on that channel to talk about my adventures there. Let's hope I make it deep, man. Oh, to make the money would be really, really something. I also have a Twitch channel called Patrick Plays Poker Badly. Come on there if you like poker or if you just like being entertained. I hope I'm entertaining. I know I entertain the hell out of myself, but I definitely want some more followers and subscribers on my Twitch channel too. Patrick Plays Poker Badly, Twitch and YouTube, as well as this YouTube channel, Patrick's Interesting Life. Hope to see you all soon. Thank you very much, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.